Yeah, hello and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. Ethereum broke out of this descending wedge now, which we said could be a signal for at least a larger bounce. So made you aware yesterday in the last video that we were just trying to break out here. This is now a move, however, because it happened, which was first of all probably, as far as I can see, related to an external catalyst, which was the agreement in principle that they, that they basically agreed on in the US about raising the debt ceiling, which I think still needs to go through Congress, not too much into US politics, but I think it's not confirmed. It's just sort of an agreement in principle. But there was some sort of good news that came out yesterday, right? So typically, I see news not as anything that is changing trend. It is typically it is typically just something that leads to some volatility within the current trend, can push trades or waves to their extremes. And certainly here we had a local uptrend. We had no signal that the local uptrend was over, and it's pushing above resistance, now indicating that the direct downside scenario we discussed is in need to be revised. What did we talk about? We talked anyway about the idea that we are in a wave 2. I think this is unchanged at the moment, but this is now a development we need to watch closely. It's too early to really, make any massive changes to the chart, but we've just broken resistance, which hasn't invalidated anything, but it might do now, and probabilities are certainly shifting towards a more substantial correction, in my opinion, or even to a rally in a third wave. Okay, so of course it's possible, as I said, that in this pattern here, Ethereum has already bottomed. It reached a 50% retracement in its wave 2. It can turn around at any time. However, there's a few problems with that. Okay, the main problem is that the rally of the May lows was only corrective. It was only in 3 waves. Now, that does not rule out any further upside, of course. Even in a bullish scenario, you can get that. And then the wave 1 would just simply be an ABC structure in a larger leading diagonal. This would have been a wave 2, and we would get a wave 3, a 4, and a 5. But this is what I would need to see to believe it. In addition and afterwards, I would like to see an ABC structure down. To see all of this as a larger 1-2 setup would be the next good setup then, if we indeed have bottomed. The problem with this scenario is that it would need to prove itself, because any rally off the lows that is corrective and not impulsive is going to be difficult, is going to be choppy. Emotional traders will get wrecked, and I just need to see this to prove itself, because anything until I see 5 waves up due to the 3-wave subwave structure, the move up is going to be counted as a correction. And the assumption is it's a correction. Now we need to have this on the radar, especially as Ethereum reached our trend reversal area for the wave 2 already, but it hasn't shown any impulsive price action to the upside, which indicates, well, okay, we could get a deeper correction now because we've broken above the 1847 level, which was sort of the pivot point that divided, well, we're just fighting with it, aren't we? But that divided immediate downside and a deeper correction. How would a deeper correction look like? Well, to be honest, it could be like this: larger A wave, B wave, C wave. This is something that is certainly decent likelihood. Alternatively, not ABC, but let me think. Alternatively, there are a few possibilities, unfortunately, now. So I need to see a bit more price action to decide which one we go with. But it's also possible to count this as a W, this as an X wave, and now we come down in a Y wave. And then we have here again an A wave down. This would lead to a larger B wave here. We talked about that. I don't know where that B wave disappeared to, but we had a larger B wave on the chart. It just disappeared. B wave and C wave. And this B wave, and that's what I think we talked about that throughout the week a few times. If we get this B wave, which I'm going to highlight now in orange, then I think I mentioned something around the 1940, 1950 price range. Let's see how accurate that was. Yeah, so what you typically would expect sort of is for price to go B wave resistance, to get sort of into the region here between the 50% retracement and the 78.6. So 1960 is here the key resistance level. Yeah? You can certainly find resistance earlier. For example, the first main level that I would pay attention to is here around 1880 to 1890. We've got structural resistance there and the 50% retracement area. So I would pay some attention to that. This could already be enough for the B wave, but I don't, I think that would be a little bit too weak. Nevertheless, it's the first relevant resistance area, and there's certainly previous resistance here. This spike of the 23rd of May, and we had 10th of May, and obviously the 50% retracement. So there's going to be strong resistance there. That will be the next pivot point, the next decision point. Pushing through this could send us to 1912 and 1960. So I think this is what I will primarily observe if we push above that 1880, 1890 level, because to be honest, the current wave count, even though it became less likely, will not be invalidated officially until we break above 1872. But chances are it will be invalidated and we will just simply push higher in a larger B wave. So we are now just in the process of morphing into a different scenario. So I will need to observe that a little bit to be able to adjust the subwave counts. Just be aware that the move overnight has obviously increased probabilities for a larger move up. Again, next decision point, well, next small resistance 1872, and then we've got the 1880 to 1890 area. Pushing above that will provide us some clarity in that we get a much larger correction, but I already warned you that a push above 1847, if it's a sustained break, well, it's just coming down again, but if it's a sustained break, it will most likely send us into sort of that 1940, 1950 region, yeah, which I think is then quite likely. We can also look at the Fibonacci extensions. Yeah, I mean, if this was, so Fibonacci extensions, here the 1-to-1 ratio would also send us to around about 1870. As I said, that's going to be the next resistance, but the 1.618 extension to around about 1940. So there is something going on around that 1940 level, certainly an area of interest we should pay some attention to. But I think the main important, or the most important point is for most people to understand, price action to the upside is not impulsive. So it would need to really prove itself if something more bullish is going on, yeah. And just be aware that most likely this small spike was related to an external catalyst here in this case. Pretty obvious because just when those news came out, it spiked. I'm not sure how lasting that is. I don't think it changes the idea and the structure that this is a correction. What else to say? What else to say? Well, obviously what is interesting is that it broke out of this massive descending wedge. So certainly something more bullish is possible. It's just from a structural point of view. I cannot confirm that yet. And don't forget, I think a lot of people forget that. I sometimes see it in the comments. This is a bullish scenario. We expect a rally into the $3,000 region afterwards. Yeah, so we are bullish, not bearish on the market. Just that short term, it seems like this correction is going to take a longer route. But we are part of a larger bullish scenario, something that a lot of people do not consider. Yeah, a lot of people are still bearish about the market. And yeah, I mean, we can see it certainly get new bear market lows. It's just that as long as we're holding bullish support, which goes down to 1534, we are focused on the upside. And in the very short term, say that most likely this move down isn't finished yet. Not quite yet. Okay, that's my update about Ethereum. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.